Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a Zapruder film. And as I'm going over it, I'm going to point out some of the false claims that have been made about this film over the years. Now, a lot of researchers will probably get upset with me for even making this video because it shows people for a fact that some of these claims that they've made over the years was false. Okay. Because that's what they want to do. They want to put out, research out there and false claims to throw people off on what really happened that day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over Zapruder film. I'm going to show some other stuff besides that to show people that it's just not, things that they point out is really false information, what they're telling us, okay? And when it comes to this film or any other things, even the other claims and stuff as well. But anyway, what we're going to do is from frame 001 through frame 132. We're not going to show because it just basically, like I said, it just shows JFK's limo is not even seen on Elm Street, and JFK's limo don't appear in the film until frame 133. And also at the same time, no one talks about or even worries about the beginning of the film anyway. They just always talk about the beginning of it when we start seeing JFK's limo. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at frame 133, which is here. That's excuse me. This is frame 133. The other one's frame 134. Because as you see, here's frame 132. JFK's limo is not even seen yet. Okay, this is when JFK's limo is first seen. Now, keep in mind, we're going to go with the first claim, our first false claim that people's, been saying. The Umbrella Man. Now, a lot of people says, well, the Umbrella Man, why does he have his umbrella up? And the Umbrella Man was like, had a spy gun inside of the umbrella where he brought it up, and he shot JFK in the throat, and then he opened up his umbrella and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you, okay? I'm going to show you that the umbrella, okay, which I'm going to pull up here first. Let's go over to here real quick. Now remember when JFK's limo first turns down on Elm Street, okay? It wasn't until when the limousine got close to him, that's when the Umbrella Man brought up his umbrella, as they're saying in their story. And I guess he supposedly fired the umbrella gun and then raised it up, so But if we look at images taken of JFK's limo as it first turned down Elm Street, we're going to see actually the Umbrella Man has already have his umbrella open up and it's already above his head, which is one image right here. This is a better image. Okay, we're going to zoom in. As far as going to let it zoom in, we can see the Umbrella Man's top of the umbrella right here already opened up and it's pointing upward, and JFK is not even shot at this time. Now, also in the Willis image, okay, what do we see here? We're going to zoom in. We see the Umbrella Man with his umbrella opened up and it's already pointing up in the air. JFK is not even shot, as you see here. So you see what I'm saying? So now we're going to go back, excuse me, to the film, okay? And as we go along, okay, I'm also going to point out in this Zapruder film here as well. It takes a little time, but we'll get there. I'm going to show you that the Umbrella Man's umbrella is still up, which is right about, let's see, right here. Okay, here's JFK. We can still see JFK's head. He hasn't been shot yet, okay? And we can start seeing the tip of the umbrella right here. I'll zoom in. We see the umbrella right here. Okay, let's go back down. As you see here we go again. Here's the umbrella. Okay, here's the umbrella right here. Okay, so see, the umbrella is already opened up. It's already pointing up in the air, which I've already showed you. So this right here eliminates that false claim of a gun being inside the umbrella where he shot JFK, because that's already been proven. That's a false statement, so we can throw that to the side. Okay. Now, another thing I want to point out is in this Zapruder film, where people claim that there's bullet holes seen right up in this area here inside the sign. Now, honestly, just like this right here, we see this supposedly bullet hole that a lot of people make false claims about as well. But as you notice when you see this, okay, this is just a mark in the film itself. It's not a real bullet hole or anything else. Because you go to frame before it, it's gone. It's not even there. And the frames before that, it's gone. It's not even there. And then we have the frames after it. It don't show it there, and it's gone as well. But there's people out there will make false claims and say there's a bullet hole. Like I said, they're going to show one frame or one image, make dozens of claims over it, but they're going to say that's the bullet hole. Now, if it was a bullet hole, what we should see as well, we should see it in every frame after that if this is when it's shot first standard. Plus, we also should see through the other side, because if you got a hole, okay, if it's covered, that's not a hole, really. It's just a marking. But if it's a hole, you should be able to see through it, which we do not see through this. Even in this frame here, we don't see no daylight or nothing on the other side, or JFK's limo or anybody on the other side of there. So again, here's another false claim that was put out there. You know, bullet hole in the street sign. And then later, there's a couple more spots in there which they claim was bullet holes. Again, false. As you see here, now we got JFK's hands coming up to his throat. We're going to go back again. We're going to go through this one more time. JFK's hands is now coming up to his throat, and we see the umbrella fully open, extended upward. Okay, so like I said, there we go. That takes care of that. Now, I'm going to go forward here a little bit, and I'll point out some things here. Excuse me just for a minute. Now, what I want to do here is I want to show this. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in right here so everybody can see. Okay, people sit there talks about, which I'm going to go through while we're going through these frames, Mrs. Kennedy shooting JFK. Okay. Now, as you notice, as we look at these frames, as you see right here, here is Mrs. Kennedy's left hand coming up to grab a hold of JFK's arm, as we see here. Okay. Now, there is no gun present. There's no gun there or nothing else. She has no gun in her left hand. Her other hand is going to go behind JFK and put it on his back. As you see here, now we see her holding. She is holding JFK's arm. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go right to here. Alt-Gen's image number 6. And we're going to see from this view, as you see here, here's the white gloves of Mrs. Kennedy's hand, her left hand. There's her arm. There's her other arm right behind Mr. Kennedy. Okay, and her other hand is extended like this, holding on like this, holding on to JFK's left arm. So her left hand is on JFK's right arm. Okay. Now let's go back to, which this right here, just this alone shows that Mrs. Kennedy did not shoot JFK. She did not take no shot, because you see her hand constantly holding on to his arm through the rest of it. Okay, she's constantly holding on to his arm. Okay. She is constantly holding on to his arm. Okay, now here's where the fatal headshot happened. We see her arm still down there. Okay, her arm's still right here, and we got the other arm right back here, which I'll pull up this image here, the Mormon photo image, which I'm going to zoom in. She's got one arm on the back of JFK, as you see here. We'll zoom in a little more. She has one arm and one hand on the back of JFK with her left hand holding JFK's left arm. Okay, she's holding his left arm. Excuse me, it's just trying to mess around here. Her left hand is on JFK's left arm. Okay, in the front. And in the back, her hands placed like this on his back. Okay, so again, Mrs. Kennedy did not shoot JFK. Now let's look at Governor Connally. Governor Connally is looking, so let's say if JFK is behind him. Okay, he's like this. He's like this. JFK is behind him now. He's right here. Here's Governor Connally right here, looking this way, out to the right. JFK's head just exploded. Frame 313, right? I mean 313. That's frame 313 is Zapruder film, and his head just exploded. Where's Governor Connally looking at? He's still looking this way. He's still looking out to his right, with JFK still behind him. And he don't have no gun pointing around this way or shooting or pushing any button that they said that he has in his hand, because that's kind of stupid anyway. But people comes up with these false claims anyway. So now we know Mrs. Kennedy did not shoot JFK. We know Governor Connally did not shoot JFK. And we also know that the Umbrella Man did not shoot JFK. So there is 3 false claims that's floating out there today. That's all false. Now we're going to look at the driver Greer. Okay, the driver Greer. And we're going to zoom in. This is frame 312 of the Zapruder film. 312. As you see here in this close-up, okay, we have Mrs. Kennedy, one hand behind him, behind JFK, with her holding his back. Her left hand is holding JFK's left arm. Governor Connally is looking out to his left, out to his right, excuse me, looking out to his right, with JFK right back here, but he's looking out this way, and JFK is right behind him. Okay, this is frame 312. Now let's look at the driver Greer. Driver Greer, he's looking back. Okay, he's looking back, but we see one of his hands here, and his other hand is right here. Now a lot of people points this lighting on this guy's head next to the driver. They say that's the gun, but it's not the gun. They're just going to come up with some screwball stuff saying, oh no, this is the gun, man, this is the gun. He, driver shot him. Driver did not shoot him, because we see one of his hands down here, one of his hands up here. Now, we're going to go to the next frame, which is frame 313, when the shot was fired. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look down here behind me, where my cursor is, and between frames 312 and 313. 312 and 313, I'm going to go back and forth. Keep an eye on the driver's hands, then the driver's head, and then the passenger's head right here. And we're going to see there's no motion in between there for him to bring up a hand real quick and take a shot. Because you got to remember one thing. Here is Governor Connally leaning back a little bit onto his wife, Mrs. Connally. And Mrs. Connally is leaning forward on him. So they're about this close, and probably how about this rush room between them. If the driver Greer would have came around and took a shot, he would have shot Mrs. Connally in the head or Mr. Connally in the head. Either one of them would have got shot in the head before JFK would have been shot for the fatal headshot. Okay. Now we see here. Boom, 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 boom. So see, his hands are still here in this location, still in the same locations his hands are. Okay, there's no movement right here. No movement right here between the 2 frames. There's no movements right here between the 2 frames. Okay, Mrs. Connally and Mr. Connally right here. See? If he was going to shoot in between both of them, they would have moved back. She would have jumped back, and she would have pushed him forward, or one thing or another, or they wouldn't have gotten shot. And then we see JFK's head being made contact. So see, a lot of these information that people want to throw out there, okay, when we go back and forth, when we're watching and reviewing it, okay, it's easy to make a claim because that's all they do. They want to make a claim. They want to take one frame and says, here you go, here's the gun, and here's this shot, here's that shot, It's easy to make these claims, okay? It's very easy. But it's not easy when you're looking at it and you try to make, try to pay attention to it, and you're looking at it and says, there's no way this could have happened. just like I said, when we look at this, which is just a clear frame, I'm going to bring up again. We're going to zoom in. Now, how much of a gap do you think that this gunman, if it was the driver Greer taking a shot, how much of a gap in between these two right here? Because remember, here's Governor Connolly, here's Mrs. Connolly. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the Mormon photo again. And we're going to zoom in on this. And we're going to take a look. There is not that much space in between Mrs. Connolly and Mr. Connolly. There's not that much space at all. So if the driver, Greer, took a shot to JFK, as people claim, he would have shot Mrs. Connolly in the head or Governor Connolly in the head. He would have shot one of them two before he even would, actually have a clear shot to JFK. Okay, they want to make a false claim that driver Greer shot him, but they don't want to look at overall, in reality, they don't want to look at overall of the possibilities. Well, he would have shot Governor Connolly first. He would have shot Mrs. Connolly first. That's why I said when they do their tests and stuff, they don't add the extra people in there and angles of the people and how they're positioned at the time of each one of these shots were taken. They never do that. They just take Mrs. Kennedy out, Mrs. Connolly out, the driver out, passenger out. Sometimes they take Governor Connolly out, just have JFK in there himself. And then you got the car stationary, not moving, and the car's on level ground. It's not at an angle. Okay, so when they do these tests and stuff like that, they're just pulling out nothing but false information. And then when someone's going to take one frame or one picture and start making false claims about it, okay, they're not looking at overall of actually a person going to look at it and say, well, this is why I got a question, or this is why I got this question, because the false claims they're bringing out just brings up more questions. So far, we'd heard about the false claims of the Umbrella Man. I just showed you the Umbrella Man didn't take no shots to JFK. I just showed you about the street sign and with no bullets going through that street sign. We just got done showing about Mrs. Kennedy not shooting JFK. We got done talking about Governor Connolly not shooting JFK. Now I just showed you that the driver Greer could not shoot JFK. Now there's a lot of people also sit there and says, well, Jackie had to kill Kennedy. She had to shoot her husband because, he was cheating on her and everything else. But before we get into that, let me show you something here too. Okay, now they said the shot came from the front. Okay, and JFK went to the back and then to the left. Okay, they keep on telling us this. They tell us this, and then they'll do their little motions like, well, he went back and to the left, back and to the left, back and to the left. This is what they keep on telling us. Okay, but when we see with our own eyes now, and we're viewing it, okay, we see JFK not even going to the back. Because when you take a distance between the back seat right here and JFK's back, okay, you're going to see he did not go back. He's going to the left. See? Going to the left. Okay, he's not going back. He's going left. He's going left. Because he was just shot in the right side of his head. He's going to the left. He's not going back and then to the left. He's going straight to the left. But he ain't going all the way to the left because Mrs. Kennedy, like I pointed out, she has one hand braced on his back, another hand braced on his arm. And remember, JFK also had a back brace on that day as well. So he's not going to be able to fall forward or anything else. And people said this, well, if he was shot from the right side, okay, Mrs. Kennedy would have been hit. No, you see, Mrs. Kennedy, okay, it's like, as we see it, we have JFK sitting like this, and Mrs. Kennedy's head's like right here. So if he gets shot in from the right, her head's not going to get hit by the bullet because the bullet, even if the bullet traveled through, it would have passed and went out this way and probably would have struck somewhere in this area here, or maybe even this lady here, but mostly in this area right here because remember, she is further back and the car's further away from her, and then we got the grass area and everything else. So in other words, Mrs. Kennedy would not have been hit by it, even though when I point out, they said, well, Mrs. Kennedy would be hit, but what we see here, where the shot came in, it struck him right here in the front lobe, right here by the temple. It struck him. And Mrs. Kennedy would never been hit as well. But anyway, we're going to talk about that later in another video maybe. And see how she came back up around and brought her hand back up around again on him after that headshot took place. See, she got the hands there because after he was shot, she brought her other hand around, which I'm going to show this. See, her other hand is up here before the shot. And then she brings it down like this after he gets shot, pushing him away a little bit. See, so now after that happened, she's going to go ahead and bring her hand back up around and hold on to him. See how she's pushing him down in her lap now? Okay. Now everybody says, oh, well, she was handing something off to Secret Service Agent Hill. She was climbing up on the back and she handed something off to him and everything else. And he put the gun in his pocket and she got back down. No, watch. We'll watch this video. We'll watch this film. Okay. We see Greer getting back on of JFK's limo. Now watch Mrs. Kennedy's hands. Okay. She put one hand, it's going to be flat down against the limo. Right? Here's her other hand. Now this one's flat against it's already flat against the backside of the limo. And then she's bringing her other hand up. And there it is. Now that hand's going flat onto the trunk of the limo. And as we see here, she has both hands flat. Nothing in them. Both hands flat against the trunk of the limo. Both hands are flat. So she has nothing in her hand at this point. Just like right here was where she's grabbing something right here, which could be a piece of JFK's brain matter. Now, as you notice, both of his hands are still on that little rail, that little handle he's still holding there. Both of his hands, Clint Hill's hands, is still holding that handle right here. And here's Mrs. Kennedy's hands right here. Now, as you notice, look at her. Both hands are moving back now. She's bringing both of her hands, one of her hands back and stuff. And as you see, both of his hands are still on that handle. Both of his hands still on that handle. So he ain't got nothing in his hands yet or anything because he got both his hands on that handle. And as you see here, she's starting to draw her hands back to herself. You see, now Clint Hill is grabbing her by her upper arm now and telling her, which she's grabbing this arm here, and he's telling her to get back in the limo. Get back into the limo. And then she starts looking down at Kennedy, and she starts moving back into the limo while he's got one hand still on a handrail, and then the other hand he has on her upper left arm, or be her upper right arm, excuse me. And now Mrs. Kennedy's going back into the limo because she's not even looking at him no more. She's already looking down still at JFK. Okay, and then they continue on underneath the overpass. Now there's another thing. So right now, we know Mrs. Kennedy didn't shoot JFK. We know Governor Connally didn't shoot JFK. We know the driver Greer didn't shoot JFK. And we know the Umbrella Man didn't shoot JFK. But there's also one other thing I want to point out. Everybody says, well, this Zapruder film shows the gunman's head. Okay. Now there's another false claim. Because see, what they don't understand is this. Okay, like I said, when I piece all the films together and look at it at different angles and stuff like that, gives me more of an insight of what's going on and what's happening. Okay. Now, when we see here, let's see, we're coming up on it. Right here it is. Okay, right here it is. Right here, again, someone says, oh, the gunman can be seen in this Zapruder film. Here's his hat, and here's his ear, and everything else. Here's the gunman. Again, another false claim. It's not a gunman. Actually, that's the groundskeeper. That's coming back up the stairwell there. We're going to pull up the Mormon photo again. And as you see here, I have this in my book. Okay. What we're seeing in this Pruder film is this guy right here. This is the groundskeeper. We're seeing him come back into play because the bush, right, we see right here, this bush right here in front of the shelter. And then he's getting glanced right here because he's coming up into here. Because if we watch the much more film, okay, there's a shot that hits, a distractor shot hits the side of the steps where three men was standing. We get a first reaction from this guy here, and he starts spreading his legs apart. This guy right here standing, he automatically turns up and starts running up the stairs right here, which we'll see in the next film and in the much more film. And then we see this guy right here, which is the groundskeeper. He turns around and starts going up steps, and he ends up coming into frame in the Zapruder film. Okay, so the man, so-called gunman, as people want to point out, as a gunman is not the gunman, it's actually the groundskeeper going back up the steps because the bullet did strike here beside the steps, and they're just trying to get out of cover. You know, trying to get out of the line of fire and get under cover is what they're trying to do. So this guy here is not the gunman, it's actually the groundskeeper coming back into frame as he's trying to get away and hide because of the shot that struck the steps beside where they were standing at. So far, okay, in this video here, I talked about the Umbrella Man, showed you even in other images and stuff, the Umbrella Man. His umbrella was already open, extended upward before JFK's limo even got close to him and everything else, so he did not take no shots to JFK. Governor Connolly did not take no shots to JFK, which we can see this in the films because Governor Connolly is paying too much attention to the right at that point when JFK was shot in the head. Okay, and people says, "Well, he had a butt in his hand," and the back of Connolly's seat opened up, and there was a gun inside of it, and that's why I said when we look at these false claims. Now, I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it is. That people has actually made that claim out there. And that's what gets me so frustrated about this case is how people can honestly go to sleep at night. They don't have a conscience to me because they can go to sleep at night and lay their head on a pillow and everything else. And they know when they're lying. Okay, they know they're lying. And then they go to sell a book with these lies in it as well and these false claims and stuff like that because they know they're making money off of this incident that happened. Okay, they have no conscience. They can go to sleep at night. They could talk about it till they're blue in the face and everything else, saying, "Hey, this is the Governor Connolly shot JFK, Driver Greer shot JFK." Don't know how much damage that they're doing to them families, just like Mrs. Kennedy. How do you think? What kind of damage do you think it is going to happen to the Kennedy family when people make false claims of Mrs. Kennedy shot her own husband because he was cheating on her with Marilyn Monroe? Okay, to me, this is what, when I start working on this case, there's one image that's always stuck in my head. One image and one image only. Out of the whole situation, out of the whole ordeal, is this one right here. Okay. Is this frame 330 of this Pruder film. Okay. Well, excuse me, not 330, I should say. It's this frame right here. Okay. And the reason why I said this is frame 329, of this Pruder film. This frame here, ever since I started analyzing this film, has stuck in my mind, and there ain't a night that goes by. And we're talking 12 years now, even, every night, even last night, night before that. This frame keeps on popping up in my head. This frame here. And here's the reason why. Okay. We're looking at Mrs. Kennedy here. She has her husband in her hands. And right in front of her face, as you see there, right in front of her face, she got both eyes seeing right inside of his head. His head is laying open. And she's looking right inside his head, right beside her, just a few inches right in front of her face. And she has this look on her face of shock and everything else. Okay. And then people wants to sit there and make rumors and false claims about her shooting her own husband. Okay, or the driver Greer shooting JFK. This is not a joke. This is not something that should be made a joke about. This is nothing that should be, made false claims about. Whoever did this should be held responsible for what they did. But they're not, because all the false claims. Because people don't understand, when it comes to false claims, all they're doing is throwing more BS out there on this case. And all they're doing after that is they're just adding more fire to that burning wood that's actually supposed to go out, but they're adding more onto it and more lies into there and everything else, so they can put some change in their pocket, so they can put that spending money in their pocket. Okay, just like, I have friends tell me all the time, they went to Dallas and stuff, and there's guys say, hey, make a $20 donation, I'll tell you what happened, and I'll give you this paper or whatever. They're constantly making money. And, it does make me sick sometimes when I think about it, just like right now I'm starting to feel nauseated about it, because they're out there spreading their lies so they can make some money, so they can put some money in their pocket. Okay, they're too lazy to go out and get a job. I'd rather be honest with you. I'd rather work at McDonald's flipping burgers. That's the truth. I'd rather work at McDonald's and flipping burgers instead of doing research. The reason why I do research, because people ask me to do research because they want that truth. They need that truth. But people don't want that truth to get out. That's why I like a lot of these researchers. Everything that I find in films and images has been in front of people's eyes for over 54 years. And you're telling me that they couldn't see none of this stuff? They couldn't find the gunman inside the shelter. They could not find the gunman on the second floor of the county records building. They can't find the gunman on the rooftop of the county records building, even when the evidence is there. Just like the shots to the manhole cover. You're telling me that these shots to the manhole cover, okay, which is right here. I'll just pull up this one here. Top corner of the concrete manhole cover. There's a bullet hole there. You're telling me that they could not see that? They could not find that? The Zapruder film shows us this. They show us exact location, pinpoint the exact location where that bullet struck the concrete. We go that manhole cover day and we see that bullet hole there. There was images of Secret Service agents and around that area, around that manhole cover, and police officers and stuff like that, and showing them picking up a bullet in a grass area right next to that manhole cover. Okay, that is a lot of evidence right there alone. But you're telling me that one of these researchers supposedly been in it for 40 years or 30 years or 20 something years. Oh, they'll sit there and brag about, oh, I looked over all the films, I looked over all the images, I read all the documents and everything else, but they couldn't see none of this. They cannot. This one makes me think, and that's what I don't understand about it. But anyway, I'm going to carry on like that because I can go on for hours. But anyway, I just want to make this video here to show some more false claims that people puts out there. And I don't think it's right for them to be putting out these false claims, because all they're doing is covering up the truth more. And that's where your conspiracy comes from. It's not from the government. It's actually from the people themselves. They're making a conspiracy because they're throwing up these false flags and they're throwing up these false claims and all these false images and pointing out this and pointing out that, So I want to make this video here. Went over this Zapruder film, talked about the Umbrella Man, him not taking no shots, Mrs. Kinney not taking no shots, Governor Connolly not taking no shots, and the driver Greer not taking no shots. Okay, there's four claims out there that's false, and it can be proved that they're false, which I showed you the evidence here, and I'll show you more. Okay, and there's a lot more to show, but show you that these are false claims. So just throw them aside when someone comes up to you and says, well, this person did, that person did it. Okay, you can actually look them straight in the eye and says, no, they didn't. Okay, you want to sit there and you want to do research, then think about what your claims you're going to make before you even bother making them claims. Okay, but anyway, don't forget to tell your friends about us. Don't forget the like button. Don't forget the subscribe button, and share the video, so other people may know about these false claims, so they don't fall for that false statements and stuff and all them false claims. so they can eliminate that. If they're even people that want to do research, if you want to do research in the case yourself, go ahead and stuff. Look over my videos and stuff like that. If you have any, you want any advice or anything like that, you can contact me. Or, you can leave your comment on the comment videos and stuff, and we can talk that way. Or we can go on Facebook. You can friend me on Facebook, and we can talk that way. Uh, there's all kinds of ways you can communicate. But anyway, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget the subscribe button. Thank you, and have a nice day.